KPop Demon Hunters is an animated action musical directed by Chris Appelhans and Maggie Chan. If I butchered those names, by the way, I do apologize. That might happen from time to time with this video, so again, I do apologize in advance. It stars Arden Cho, Mei Hong, Jeong, Jeong, and Lee Byung-hun. When K-pop superstars Rumi, Mira, and Zoe aren't selling out stadiums, they're using their secret powers to protect their fans from supernatural threats. I'll be the first to admit, I pretty much know absolutely nothing about K-pop. The only real knowledge I have about the genre of music is how horribly feral their fanbase are. And with me saying that, all the K-pop stans are about to kick my door in. If this is the last video, remember me as a reviewer who never made it. I was interested in checking this out because some people in the cast list, and due to the fact that a few of my friends on Letterboxd have been checking it out too. So I couldn't be left out of the loop, of course. So is this movie enjoyable for K-pop fans and non-K-pop fans alike? Well, let's find out. Despite this being an animated movie, it's still worth talking about the performances, as voice acting is just as valid as regular acting, of course. To start off with, I want to talk about Arden Cho, who voices Rumi, who is the leader of the fictional band in this movie. I think her performance is pretty good. She's good at expressing a lot of different emotions throughout the movie. Her character goes through a lot of different things, and she conveys these different emotions well and believable. Whenever she's struggling in scenes, her voice sounds like she's distraught well enough to keep it engaging, to the point where you feel sympathetic with her character. When she's paired with other characters, the chemistry flows pretty naturally, whether it's with the other girls in the band, or even with the guy in the other K-pop boy band in this movie, which I'll get to eventually, don't you worry. As a lead, I thought she did a good job. Jeong voices a character named Zoe, another girl in the band. I thought her voice acting was especially overexpressive, not to an extent where it was annoying. She's given a few comedic moments. I personally didn't think these moments were funny, but obviously humor is subjective. In the latter half of this movie, we see another side to her character, and Yu voices the character in a sad way to a believable extent. She has a good dynamic with the two girls in the band, acting as a wild card of the group, and the way she's voiced really shows this aspect off. Mei Hong voices Mira, the final member in this trio K-pop girl group. This character is more subdued than the other two. Hong delivers a deadpan, almost completely monotone performance that really works for the character. It's basically the opposite end of what Yu's character is like, so the contrast here worked well. She has good chemistry with the two girls in the scenes they have together. It made all of their dynamics fun to watch. On top of this, the three women have really good singing voices, and their chemistry shows in the songs they sing, with the way their harmonies work off each other, which I'll touch on more in the music section of this video. Jeong plays the group's manager in this. Admittedly, it took me a while to pick up that it was him at all. He's not exactly trying to disguise his voice here. I guess it's just because I haven't heard the guy in a while. He's basically the main comedic relief of this thing. Some of his moments worked, but others didn't. I think that's more so down to the script than anything else, which is part of the course with a movie like this. I thought his character design was pretty fun. He makes the most of the time that he has on screen, making every line he delivers be really expressive and loud while maintaining a level of not being too annoying, thankfully. Lee Byung-hun plays the villain in this movie. While he is voice acting in the context of the film, it's also pretty much just a voice. He's basically just a massive wall of purple flame, and you only ever hear him. What he brings to this role is a good level of intimidation, managing to make just his voice alone sound really threatening, especially commanding, which works for the type of villain that he is. As we see throughout the runtime, he's pulling the strings over everything in this demon world which we are invited to. The story of this movie is one of the main aspects that really surprised me. It's a lot better written than it's meant to be. I think before I praise it, I'll get minor nitpicky issues out of the way. There's a very early scene in the opening of this where we see the K-pop group eat a bunch of food. That's how you know that the writers of this movie aren't setting it in reality. It's not because of all the demons and shit. No, it's because in reality, K-pop idols are actually forcefully told to starve themselves to make this perfect look for themselves, which is such a disgusting practice that industry has over there. Another thing I found weird was in the first act of this movie, the band premiere a brand new single for their fans, and I know there's a culture around K-pop groups that their fans are feral, but we see that by the time the song gets to the chorus, the fans seem to already know the words of the song. Now, this could either be the standard rule of musicals where the characters just magically know the words to the songs, or we're meant to take this literal. There's no showing of any time passage, which made the jump from characters knowing the song a little too jarring. I think the writers did a good job at using fictional issues to talk about real life issues here. In this movie, we see Rumi, the leader of the K-pop group, undergo this internal and somewhat external struggle throughout the movie, and I thought it was a good comparison to the real external struggle throughout the movie, and I thought it was a good comparison to the real life pressures K-pop idols must feel having to maintain the strict regime they're under in order to maintain their level of fame, because if they do anything that isn't what they're told to do, their fame could be taken away from them. Rumi faces struggles that could lead to her friends and fans leaving, or so she thinks, and it's engaging enough to see how she copes with these problems. I just thought it was a clever way to somewhat inform the audience on these issues, even if they're doing it under the lens of fantasy. Other aspects of the plot do tend to make it a bit generic, but if I hadn't made it clear already, this is a kids movie, so something like that is bound to happen. It's not a major complaint, but naturally it leads to this not being anything really exceptional. There's things like the second act breakup, which gets resolved pretty quickly. Some of these things are just part of the course, especially in animated movies. And plus the filmmakers are selling this to an American audience despite the things that are in the story. I thought the concept of this group fighting demons worked well. When you look at the title, you'll probably roll your eyes, but in the beginning they give it a pretty straightforward explanation as to why this is, and it's fun how they even show that girl groups have been doing this for years, showing different eras of music. It almost made me wish the movie was set in those other eras sometimes. Moving on from the plot, I have to talk about the animation in this thing, because I swear as soon as this movie started, I was totally taken aback, but I should have expected some quality since this is by Sony Animation. Sony Animation and Sony as a company in general can be very, very hit or miss with its movies, but sometimes in the animation department they knock it out of the park, and the same thing goes for this movie, as this movie has the same type of animation that can be found in a movie like the two Spider-Verse films. Choppy frames and a unique art style make for a visually great watch, as the animators incorporate some anime style of animation here too. I thought the designs of all the demons were really cool, each of them having unique designs. There's scenes that beg to be played frame by frame just so you can take in every design. There's a couple of demons that seem to evoke the designs of Onibaba masks, which was really cool to see too. This movie is extremely colorful too, which is natural for a kids movie. The colors here really pop in a way that isn't too oversaturated like you'll see in an Illumination movie. There's a great use of purples and blues, which all look really great in the landscapes that they're used in. The fight scenes are composed really stylishly whenever the K-pop groups are slashing away at demons. Their weapons all leave streaky neon trails around them. It was a fun addition to make the action more visually interesting. Despite this being an animated movie, I want to touch on the cinematography, as in the credits the cinematography says it was planned out. There's a good few uses of dolly zooms here whenever there's a dramatic moment. Along with that, there are some crash zooms and punch-ins which sometimes make for some comedic moments. There's a lot of points where they are shallow depth of field shots where the characters are the only things in focus, almost forcing the viewer to pay attention to what the characters are talking about. The animated landscapes are shown off well from some wide shots, which do their best to show every aspect of the cities they're in. While all of this is animated, it's cool to see this kind of attention to detail to be put in a kids movie. It kept my eyes more engaged to the screen, and it assisted in my investment throughout. In a way, this movie is a musical. Some of the songs from what I'm seeing were written by an actual K-pop group by the name of Twice. I will say straight up, some of the enjoyment of listening to these songs didn't help due to the fact this isn't the style of music that I would listen to. I believe K-pop to be way too overtly in your face, loud and bombastic, and not really having much under the surface when listening to it, but I'll give the movie credit. There's one or two songs here that possess a good beat and a couple of catchy bars here and there. All of the songs work well in context of the movie and move the plot along when it needs to. Along with original songs, a score is in this too, which is composed by Marcelo Zarvos, who has done music for the movies Fences, Dark Waters, and many others. The score here suits the scenes they're in. They're decently made background tracks, but overall I wouldn't say they're anything too memorable. Maybe I was more focused on other aspects of the movie, but the score just didn't stick out to me all that much, unfortunately. Overall, I surprisingly had a fun time with this. I must be getting a little less cynical with my old age, even though if you look through the channel, some people might probably say the otherwise. But I think I've a soft spot for any animated movie that tries to do something different in the modern landscape, which sounds a little counterproductive as this style of animation is becoming more and more prevalent as more companies choose to do this style. The only company, funny enough, that doesn't seem to be getting with this trend is Disney, and with the announcement of their newest Lilo and Stitch remake getting a sequel, it seems like they still don't know what audiences actually want. I suppose my soft spot comes from the fact that while this has some tropey things here and there, it is in fairness an original movie, which is what the world needs more of right now than anything else, no matter what the quality is like. I'm giving KPop Demon Hunters 3.5 stars. It's a fun, beautifully animated romp that packs a good story, some cool action that will keep both kids and maybe other people entertained. For KPop K-pop fans, it's obviously the movie for people into that sort of thing. There's probably many references and lingo I wouldn't know which will enhance the enjoyment for fans. This is in no way an ad, but the movie is a Netflix original, so that's where you can find it. But listen, you didn't hear this from me. I found out that it's possible to watch this movie if you can handle the weight of being a pirate.